Everyone talks about Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, but not every legend gets their credit. Some players dominated, carried teams, and even changed the game, yet they remain overlooked. Today, we're counting down the top 10 most underrated players in NBA history. The NBA is full of household names, but hidden behind the spotlight are players who deserve just as much respect. Let's give these overlooked legends the recognition they deserve. They called him Mr. Big Shot, and for good reason. Chauncey Billups led the Detroit Pistons to one of the biggest upsets in NBA history, defeating the Lakers super team in the 2004 Finals and winning Finals MVP. He was clutch, a leader, and a two-way guard, yet rarely mentioned among the great point guards. Shawn Marion's awkward shooting form might have looked funny, but his impact was deadly serious. A four-time All-Star, he anchored the defense for the Phoenix Suns' famous 7 seconds or less offense, and later became a key piece of the Mavericks' 2011 championship run. Versatile, unselfish, and relentless, but often overlooked. Before Kawhi Leonard, there was Sidney Moncrief. A two-time Defensive Player of the Year, the first guard to ever win the award, Moncrief shut down legends night after night. In the 1980s, he was the heart of the Milwaukee Bucks, but you'll rarely hear his name today. Chris Webber was the centerpiece of the Sacramento Kings, one of the most exciting teams of the early 2000s. With elite passing, scoring, and rebounding, Webber was a 5-time All-Star, but playing in the Shaq and Duncan era meant his greatness was often overshadowed. Still, his vision as a big man was ahead of its time. Not many superstars would accept coming off the bench, but Manu Ginóbili did and still became a legend. A 4-time champion, he revolutionized the game with the Eurostep, inspired a new generation of guards, and gave the Spurs dynasty its spark. Underappreciated because of his role, Manu is one of the greatest six men and winners ever. In an NBA built on scoring, Ben Wallace made his name by shutting everyone else down. A 4-time Defensive Player of the Year and the anchor of the 2004 champion Pistons, Wallace dominated without even needing to score. At just 6'9", he went toe-to-toe with giants like Shaq and won. Before the injuries, Grant Hill looked like the next Michael Jordan. A 7-time All-Star with elite scoring, passing, and defense, Hill was one of the most complete players of his era. While injuries robbed him of what could have been a legendary career, he still played 19 seasons and left his mark as one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. You probably don't hear his name much, but in the 1980s, Alex English scored more points than anyone. Smooth mid-range jumper, 8-time All-Star, and the face of the Denver Nuggets, yet he's often forgotten in GOAT scorer conversations. Consistent, efficient, and underrated greatness. They called him the human highlight film, and he lived up to the name. Dominique Wilkins was a 9-time All-Star who scored over 25,000 points, but playing in the same era as Bird, Magic, and Jordan meant he never got the same spotlight. His dunks were legendary, his scoring unmatched, and he remains one of the greatest to never win a ring. At his peak, Tracy McGrady was unstoppable. A 2-time scoring champ, 7-time All-Star, and one of the most smooth offensive players in history. He could score from anywhere, pull-ups, fadeaways, dunks, you name it. But injuries and playoff struggles kept him from being mentioned with Kobe and LeBron. Still, to those who watched him in his prime, T-Mac was pure greatness and one of the most underrated superstars ever. From role players who defined championships to stars held back by injuries, these are the legends who don't get the credit they deserve. Basketball history wouldn't be the same without them. Who do you think is the most underrated player in NBA history? Did we miss someone? Drop your pick in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more NBA legends.